Good morning. So I want to convey a very short message. It's nothing new, but since it's kind of like a critical time with so many presumably discoveries, I want to clarify my position regarding what I think about the Titans in Earth. As I said many times, the concern of my predecessors in the last 100 years was the Titans in Venus, not the Titans in Earth. I should also say that in general, the Cherubs, like my own species, are, visiting the Earth for thousands of years, even tens of thousands of years. Our presence is not new, and mostly throughout all the time, it was not in relation to, whatever we did here was not in relation to specifically the Venus-Earth relationship. As I said in the previous video, there wasn't much relationship, throughout, until the beginning of the 20th century or the end of the 19th century. There wasn't almost nothing at all, that wasn't the issue. There were many other things, but not this, but in the 20th century, this has become the major, problem. And, yes, at the very beginning of, I would say my journey, 4.5 years ago, or 4 years ago, yes, you can find in my blog posts, all sort of, posts, written, at the time I was mostly writing, I didn't start recording yet, but, as I do today and, in the last couple of years, but, I was writing, and you can see that in my writing that, I think that, I speak along the line that, humans and, my own species, the Cherubs, should, cooperate. It was mostly, I would say, implicit, but in a very, in a very kind of, obvious way. It's not like a riddle, but, it was kind of, not very explicitly, but implicitly and in a strong way. That I think that humans and Cherubs should uplift Venus. But it seems like several years that I completely abandoned this thought. No, humans require uplifting themselves. They are disgusting. Humans require people that will. They are in no position to have any kind of authority over another planet or any kind of patronizing position. In order to have a patronizing position, first of all, you need not to be a child yourself, and this is demonstrably not true. I don't have a solution for Venus besides stop taking people from there, because this it's obviously it's not a good idea. It's a terrible idea. Besides that, I don't necessarily have a solution. Maybe things just take time. That's the way it was in Earth. It took humans a lot of time, to get themselves up from the gutters, and mostly, many of them are still in the gutters. And there is not necessarily a quick way to do it. Besides completely, conquering another planet, and in deleting the existing culture completely. And mostly what happened to mostly the people who just disappeared after not a long time. So this is this is conquest, and this is of course bad. If you want if you want to keep the current the ownership of the people of their own land, and to also to keep the current culture, or at least keep the possibility of development of a culture, it's not necessarily a very easy thing to do. That's why the Cherubs in Earth, they only interfered very, very, very gently. Most of every theory that I've ever read regarding ancient aliens and their intervention on Earth, I think it was wrong. Nevertheless, I think that the concept itself is true. Yes, aliens intervened, but all examples that I encountered were wrong, to my at least according to my understanding. because I mean, in general, most of these kind of like I mean theories I mean are almost always concentrated in material things and like I mean building this thing or that the other thing. So I mean, why do you think it's so important? Like for like presumably someone like I mean. Like, why do you think we care about your power pyramids? I mean, nice. I mean, but, really, it's nice. But I mean, like, I mean, I don't know. We have bigger size stuff. Like, I mean, it's not kind of like I mean, like, what's the implication is that like we help you build the pyramids because, I mean, it's so big. So I mean, we like it, and we don't have place to. Like, if we wanted to build pyramids for some very peculiar reasons. Like we didn't have a place to build the pyramids, so I mean we thought, okay, let's build it here, and like I mean, so we helped you build the pyramids. I really, I mean, as a child I was like charmed by the pyramids, and I'm sorry that I lament the fact that I didn't have the opportunity to visit Egypt, and I haven't seen the pyramids and the Sphinx. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, it's and I also read about like the pyramids in Pliny the Elder. I mean, you know, in the encyclopedia, and you know, it's really amazing. But I mean. Seriously, you think that I mean aliens I mean arrived on Earth and helped you build the pyramids? Why? I mean, do you have any good reason for such a peculiar action? And this is even more true, like I mean, to like others, like all sorts of sculptures. I mean, that road, or I don't know, this kind of like I mean, I don't know, stone here or stone there. I mean, this is extremely peculiar. I mean, these aliens, I mean, they have starships the size of small countries or even big countries. They're like I mean. I'm not sure like what kind of interest I mean such an advanced alien race could have found in that stone or another stone. I really don't know. It's kind of like it's so no. I mean all of these theories are ridiculous. I mean and all of them, all of the theories that I've read like I mean since I was a child and I first read like Erich von Däniken's you know Chariots of the God. Everything can be explained like I mean just I mean you know. Just by studying like a little bit and not even much, like you don't need to do PhD, but I mean, just like a small amount of studying, I mean, could like answer all these presumably very intricate question, like how did they build the Stone Age? They built Stone Age because they had like I mean, they had the first of all, I mean, the most important thing, I mean, when you want to build like thing like Stone Age or any other big things, I mean, compared to what you already have, like, is I mean, what you actually need is a system of governance. Like I mean, that's the most important thing. Like I mean, you need like, I mean, and this it's also true for the pyramids or almost any other example of a big thing or a complicated thing. It's more it's issue of governance. Like I mean, of like I mean of that you need like I mean the social structure that I mean of like you know also with all sorts of like, you know bureaucrats and like and control over the population and the population will actually I mean you know. Give like I mean you know the government like willingly do it I mean for a long time without like you know rebellion against it because I mean, humans are rebellious by nature and I mean and of course why shouldn't they rebel against like tyrant government? So you need like I mean the government to be accepted like by the people. Of course, it doesn't need to be like modern kind of government, but it needs to be like any kind of like leadership that will be accepted by people, and they should have bureaucracy, and they should, and these things are tremendously more important than this technique of how you like I mean you roll the piece of wood or that technique or I mean you know like you put you mix the mud with this material or another material. These are all, I mean, you know, not that interesting question unless you are very into mud work or brickwork or, I mean, if you're like, I mean, you have the kind of fetish for bricks or something like that, it might be interesting. But, I mean, the really important question, like in all of these examples, is always the issue of government. Like, I mean, what was the kind of the leadership or what was the government? What was the politea? Like, what system of like, I mean, of like, I mean, control over the people they had? And why did the people accept this kind of like, I mean, leadership? Because people don't always accept like I mean you put like a king over them and they don't like him, they kill him. So I mean, and there are so many examples like I mean from all over the world like throughout history. So this is the question like I mean who was the real leader? How I mean what was the bureaucracy? I mean and how I mean how did they pay taxes? I mean tax. I mean was it like I mean the work itself was tax like it's like famously in the case of like in ancient Egypt, the old kingdoms and the pyramids, or maybe they paid like money and the money was spent on like I mean on you know on a class of like I mean people that I mean build social like I mean you know public works. I mean as I mean you know it was like more common like in Rome for example that I mean there were people I mean both slaves and a free person that I mean took care of public works that was financed by money that was by gold that was taken as form of tax that was mostly the rich people paid. The richer you were, the more substantially more taxes you paid. Like this is also true today, but it was not always. Actually, it's not always true today. Sometimes today, the richer you are, the less tax you pay because in the modern world there are also loopholes. But in Rome, the more richer you were, the more you paid, substantially so. Not in a linear way. So so there are also these are the real questions. Not whether the alien help you. Will put the stone here or there. So there's a question of how do you create such system of of control over the people. So this is it's major. This is this is the meaning of the ancient word politics. How to build politea, the branch in philosophy of not the practical politics, but it's a branch of philosophy of how to build states. And of course, this for that you need kind of a common ground for the people. They need ethos. They need to believe in something. To share all sorts of ideas. And so now we're getting closer to what the Cherubs actually did on Earth. To trying to maintain kind of ethos. For the people that will not be kind of forced from another place, but be rooted on what was already existed in Earth. That's why the Cherubs always lived here. They were not it wasn't a job for them 4 years in Earth and then 4 years I don't know in Alpha Centauri B. It wasn't like that. They always spent an entire life here and were part of the population, and because it's important that whatever they do, it's kind of rooted on things that already exists. And the purpose was not to build that pyramid or that I don't know what, but the purpose was, of course, to create ethos, to create common ground, common soul for the people, because it is needed in order to create all sorts of governments. Because otherwise, people, they just they don't get along together, or they rebel, or they kill the king, or that's kind of the default state of So yes, alien. I truly, with wholeheartedly believe in kind of in the idea of alien, ancient aliens. But all the examples that you ever read, are always almost 100% wrong, because they are concentrated in material stuff that are completely unimportant. Almost of no importance. Now, with regards to the Titan, so as I said, all that should be said that it's incredibly difficult to intervene, and you cannot do it easily. And sometimes, it's best not to intervene, even while you know that yes, horrible things are going on, cannibalism and abandonment of babies, to die. Yes, this shit happened a lot in the history of Earth as well. It happened in Venus and it happened in other places. But you cannot, you cannot necessarily, you don't have an easy way to solve this issue without, completely conquering the planet and deleting everything, which is, of course, a terrible idea. So, just to say that, I've spoken about it a lot in the past and I've written about it, so I won't repeat myself, but, I've written quite a bit about the Prime Directive, the first contact issues, on Star Trek, because I have many things to say, and I have very strong opinions, and kind of Mishnah Dua, as I say, a whole kind of system of belief with regards to I do not accept the Prime Directive. Of course, the fact that I'm here right now speaking with you is kind of sort of definite proof that the Cherubs do not accept the Prime Directive of Star Trek. But nevertheless, we do understand what's the the rationale. What's the where does it come from? What's the kind of what's the sound beliefs? Correct beliefs that led people to think about to theories regarding the Prime Directive. Just to say, the Prime Directive is kind of it's something from the universe of Star Trek. Which is of course fictional, but it's of course interesting to think about it. That I mean, it's the most like I mean they have like Starfleet, with starships and captains and all the Captain Kirk, Captain that, Captain Y, Captain Pop, Captain Sham. So I mean, so in the Prime Directive is kind of like the first and most important rule of the starship. Like I mean, that is above all other rules, including like self-preservance. I mean, they're required to to die in order to fulfill this rule. Is that I mean that cultures that did not yet invent discover the warp drive, which means faster than light travel, should be left alone. Like nobody should ever intervene with nothing that they do, and they should not be exposed to other cultures. They should not live their life without knowing about other races. Other only when they can reach the stars themselves. That is presumably done by the warp drive, even though humans know very well, even way before the first Star Trek was was invented in the mind of Gene Roddenberry, they knew very well that they certainly do not need the warp drive in order to have contact with other civilizations. They are doing it for thousands of years. And even without the gates, you can say, okay, but they have the gates, which is kind of like a warp drive. But even without the gates, you could have if it was your major concern, if this was super important to you and you didn't have the gates, by now you could have maintain constant relationship with Venus if you wanted. I don't think it's a good idea without gates at all. Just putting more money on on but not that much more money. But yes, if you maintain the same kind of level of if you finance NASA, and I'm not saying you should have done it, but if you kept financing NASA to the same kind of extent, as a percentage of the American GDP, that as you've done during the 60s, but you continue to do it until today, which you could have done pretty easily. Just by eliminating 2 or 3 carriers and several just to say, the military spending is much higher than that. So it's not science fiction. You could have done pretty easily. Maintaining the same kind of just so by now you could have shuttles going to Venus and back all the time with ease. It's not even difficult. So just to say, without any warp drive at all, and yes, this could have allowed you to do whatever you want in this culture, and and to destroy it if you wanted. Or certainly to intervene without faster than light travel. Just put more money. But not much more money than you've already spent already. So anyway, in Star Trek, it's kind of a huge rule not to do it, not to let them not to intervene in such culture. So. And many times in Star Trek, in various seasons, starting the first one, Captain Kirk, famously was always it was kind of you didn't really accept it because he's kind of maverick, against the rules in general. But yes, throughout the years, it was shown many times that it's a problematic rule, and yes, it is problematic rule, and that's why I'm against it, and I've spoken about it quite a bit in the past and written about it. So it's not the time to repeat myself. But I just said, of course, while I'm against it, and we are against it as a species, that's why I'm here, we certainly understand the validity, and we accept the validity of the soul behind it. That yes, it's almost impossible. It's incredibly difficult to intervene in a way that will not be violent and aggressive, and will not conquer the weaker side, and sometimes you just cannot intervene. Sometimes you just and it's sad, but because you see you see sad thing, but that's life. Life is cool. Many times, Now, so regarding the Venusians in Venus, I don't have a solution. I've long abandoned the thought that, they should the Cubes and the humans should, uplift the Venusians. That was very naive, and I was reading about it, in the beginning of my journey, before I understood so many things, and most of all, before I opened my eyes to the fact that humans themselves are cool children, and like, I mean that they should be uplift themselves, and they require like a babysitter. They cannot be babysit other species. Now, with regards to the Titans, they're already here. So, from my point of view, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's not that complicated. For many years now, it was not possible for them to get like the yellow Neos or the brown Neos. I mean, it was easier. I mean, in the last couple of years, it's only for me and in the most cool way. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if 80 or 10 years or something like that. Now, before that, they still had like some kind of like, I mean, connection. I mean, they still could have got it from Venus. Because, I mean, they've done it, I mean, traditionally, I mean, in the Israeli society, since long ago, this was, I mean, these kind of robots were taken from the bodies of like males. Also in a cool way, but I mean, there were male Venusians like in Israel, and they were actually, I mean, and they also took it from there, like, I mean, so it was possible, I mean, by all sorts of like ways that I described it, like in the robot saga, in the robot series. But this was also cool. I mean, for many years now, maybe since like forever, it wasn't ever able to do it, like, I mean, in Earth without kind of like participating in equality. But certainly in the last 10 years, I mean, at least, I mean, you cannot get it without, like, I mean, participating in my own subjugation, humiliation, and robbery and theft. And don't be mistaken, every female that received this drug from me, she knew what I am. Because of the bicycle mechanism and because of also for other reasons, they knew what I am. So they participated in this cruelty towards me simply because they sold the drug, as you know very well. They received money for this thing, directly or indirectly, and they wanted to get money, and they wanted me to get nothing, because that's what they are, the scum of the earth. So from my perspective, it's very easy kind of like, I mean, to make this distinction regarding the Titan females that are in Earth, the ones that actually produced. I mean, this is the last 10 years, like, which is the relevant question, like what's going on now. So the one that produced the drug and sold it, and the ones that they didn't, because I mean, they didn't have to like produce it. Again, in order to maintain kind of like, I mean, minimum level that, I mean, allows them to live, like, they don't need like, I mean, like the constant, like, I mean, you know, like constant, like, I mean, you know, like, I mean, dosage of like of the yellow or the brown Neos. So it's very simple. Like, whether, I mean, they decided, like, I mean, to participate in this cruelty, so they are the scum of the earth. So whether they didn't, and then, I mean, I don't have any opinion on them, like good or bad, because I don't know them. I just know that, I mean, they didn't participate in this horrible humiliation. Now, most certainly, you wouldn't find in Israel even one that did not participate in that. Now, regarding people outside of Israel, I really don't know. I just don't know. Maybe some did, maybe some didn't. In Israel, it's kind of like obvious that all of them participated in this cruelty, because that's what they are. They're cruel, disgusting, and they like money, and they have no values at all. But I don't know what's the situation outside of Israel. I mean, I'm certain that, I mean, there were many that were just like Israelis, which means that they participated in it, they get like the drug, they sold the red Neros, and from whoever that had done that, I mean, for me, she's just like an Israeli, which means the scum of the earth. I mean, it doesn't matter if she did it like in the UK or the United States or in Israel. But maybe there are others, I don't know, in Japan or Australia, I don't know where, that, I mean, that never like received the drug from me, never sold the red Neros, because they don't have whatever to sold, and maybe they are not even aware of all these things. I don't know, maybe they don't know nothing about it. Maybe all of that is completely, I mean, out of their kind of, I mean, you know, out of their mind completely. And in that case, I mean, how can I mean, pass judgment on such people? I mean, I know nothing about them. This is completely abstract for me. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, just, I mean, they can be anyone. But again, my assumption is in Israel they all participated, because it's a sick culture, and probably also in other places, especially in the West. Why? Because they like money. Simply so. Because the white people like money. Well, I mean, I mean, that's the simple reason. I mean, white people like money, so they. I mean, it's not that, I mean, the other colors also, I mean, we started speaking about colors, I mean, recently, but I mean, so other colors also don't, I mean, they also like money, but whites, I mean, they are known for, like, I mean, their affinity towards money, so, more than others, I mean, and, so, yeah, I mean, so they wanted to, I mean, so they wanted to sell the scene, you know, and then they didn't care about me at all. Some people ask, I mean, like, I mean, how is it possible that, oh, let's keep it to another discussion, the issue of colors. Let's just say, I mean, it is known that, I mean, humans were just, I mean, if you don't know, I mean, so it's kind of like established fact that, I mean, everybody accepts that in the past, like, all humans were black. It's not something that is kind of fucking new. I mean, in itself, it's quite obvious. And the question is, I mean, with regards to colors of humans, like, so why, I mean, they didn't all, like, stay black? I mean, why, I mean, they started to diverge into different colors. I mean, you know, skin colors. And this, I mean, you can, I mean, you know, choose, like, to accept evolutionary answers that, from my perspective, are not satisfactory. Or you can look at it in a more, like, I mean, philosophical way, which means that, I mean, there is a reason for kind of, I mean, for like, I mean, to separate humans to groups, like, I mean, mostly, I mean, you know, to make them weaker, like, I mean, you know, like in the book of Genesis, what can I say, like, I mean, because they rebel against God and against nature, and, like, I mean, so, I mean, you know, stronger, like, entities wanted to keep them weak, so, I mean, they separated them to all sort of, there were all sort of ways to do it, you know, like in the Tower of Babel, so it's kind of like that, I mean, because if they were all the same color, I mean, they were stronger, so, I mean, that's the way to make them weaker, because they start to hate each other because of the fact that they are different colors, even though they hate each other anyway, I mean, even, like, I mean, if they're the same color, they still hate each other, but, at least initially, it's a way to kind of, like, separate them. Because they build towers and they try to kill God. I mean, what can I say? I mean, just read the book of Genesis. That's what they do. That's what they do.